flames. This right here is an embodied form of the violet ray spectrum.
Tap in and tune in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Grand Rising with ChristoLight, your sacred space for discovering the Ascended Masters in crystal healing. Ashe.
From the bottom of my heart and the love I have for the medicine, I really feel it's almost like these plants need, especially in the Western world, needs some crutches. It needs the understanding of a trauma-informed way, understanding of the nervous system. It needs care because it's such a powerful and potent medicine which can heal the world almost, but at the same time, it's not a quick fix. It is deep work, and we need to understand that, they need some crutches. There is also risk with it. This potent medicine comes with a risk, and for this to really ground and to really bring deep roots into this new world, we need a trauma-informed approach, and that's where I think really Atira has a beautiful education for anyone who wants to go deeper and embody more of these principles and bring deeper roots into their work, and create a safe container for everyone who join such a powerful psychedelic medicine work.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to a fresh new live episode after taking a week off from new episodes and continuing off from our last episode from Thursday of not this past week, but the week before, where we talked about the roots of addiction. And we talked about the metaphysics, the energetics, as well as the mind, body, emotions, and how they contribute into our addictive tendencies, addictive behaviors, and unconscious blockages that we have in our shadow body. We also talked about some of the galactic origins and galactic manipulation tools that support and help manipulate us in keeping us in patterns of addiction, as well as unhealed and wounded areas of our auric field. So if you guys weren't able to catch that, you guys can watch the replay by simply going to the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Broadcast Network, clicking playlist, and then going under Grand Rising with ChristoLight, and you'll see it at the very end as one of the latest episodes in the series. So, I feel like this is a really big focus. And this is a really big topic right now going on in our country, in the United States, but really it should be a topic all over the world. And that is about plant medicine safety and space holding ethics. Now, there's many different points of views. There's going to be many different perspectives, opinions, and judgments surrounding this topic. But I'm here to share with you my own experiences as a facilitator of many different medicines, plant and non-plant, as a brother to many facilitators of plant medicine and non-plant medicine, and also someone that is connected to many different elders and indigenous cultures that do take high reverence and high ceremony when it comes to the ethics of utilizing psychedelic plant medicines. Now, this day and age that we're in, we're living in an age where things have been very saturated. Things have been very, if you want to say, used. And we have gotten very conditioned in this society to think that abusing plant medicines and abusing psychedelics, abusing different therapies is a great, healthy, productive way of being able to either, quote unquote, awaken, fast track in our enlightenment to reach our higher self, and also as a way to escape doing the work when it comes to shadows, our flaws, and being able to reintroduce ourselves new healthy patterns consistently and habitually through our everyday actions. Now, a little bit about myself and my journey when it comes to plant medicine. I am someone that began my plant medicine journey by abusing it. I was a young adult, 18, going into about 21 to 22, was on my peak years of abusing psychedelics. I was using many substances, going to a lot of music festivals with Grateful Deadheads, and I also got involved with selling heavily as well. And I'm someone that used to have sheets of LSD. I used to have ounces of mushrooms. I used to get ounces of cocaine. I used to get triple stacks and, grams and grams of Molly and MDMA. And I used to get ketamine as well and DMT. Now, I abused all of these substances while I was selling them as well. And I was able to firsthand experience through my own mind, body, emotions what each of these substances are and what they interact with us like. And I'll tell you what, yes, I was able to experience and expand my mind into going into different dimensions, experiencing different beings, as well as having different out-of-body experiences. But at the same time, I was also an addictive mindset, and I was in an addictive place. And there was a lot of darkness that came with that as well, including moments where it felt like I almost was going to lose my life because I had taken too much powder substance, and it felt like my heart would be overwhelmed and that I could potentially, quote unquote, overdose. Now, this happened multiple times for me throughout my journey. Grateful to say that I was never extremely negatively affected or impacted health-wise by any of these substances to where it carried over into near-death experiences or to even have long-term side effects. And I will credit that to a lot of devoted holistic healing and practices of meditation to really keep myself balanced and make sure I didn't fall to the wayside. Now, I will say, being around this, I also have seen people lose their lives to substances like fentanyl and heroin. And I know that's not exactly along the lines of plant medicine, but it can easily be surrounding you as you dive deep into these different substances. So being aware of what kind of things can be in your substances is very key. And we're going to talk about some of the measures that you can take for the safety of the plant medicines that you're involved in, such as testing the products and making sure there's no added chemicals or added drugs that can potentially help you lose your life. So along with that, I have seen folks, I've seen a brother that had severe trauma, severe mental imbalances taking place before ingesting LSD. And this happened multiple times where he'd take LSD, he would have the unsolved traumas in his system. And then next thing you know, he would be in psychosis for the whole LSD trip, and then maybe carrying over into a couple days afterwards. And this was a very real thing that I experienced. This was one of my good friends at the time that I got to witness and experience going through this psychosis-like state due to being in a unhealed and unsolved trauma place inside of himself and not taking the plant medicine in a ethical, conscious, and ceremonial way. And this was dangerous. This was very dangerous to see, very dangerous to be around. It lasted so many days in a row that his family actually had to put him in the hospital so he can get brought back to earth and brought back to his physical self. So I want to bring all this up because this is not just a trendy, fun, and creative thing to talk about. This is stuff that can really alter our life, and it can really have a toll on the mind, body, emotions, and the soul journey that we continue on as a being. And one thing I gotta say is, like, if you haven't experienced these substances, it may be hard for you to understand how morphing and how mind-changing these medicines can be. And when you really understand how much these substances can alter your mind to where you are no longer in touch with your own identity, to where you're disassociated from the material world, and you're unable to really, truly relate to the material world, then it can become a slippery slope if you don't have a proper space holder. The proper space holder is the one that is the overseer of the container. They are the one that knows going into this experience, going into this retreat, going into this journey, that they are to look for certain signs. They are to look for certain symptoms. They are to make sure that all of their clients are hydrated before, during, and after the ceremony. They are the ones to make sure that they're doing their due diligence. They're doing their research thoroughly on the combination of the substances that they're using, if they're using a combination. And through that research, they should know very well, okay, if this substance is a amphetamine, which accelerates the heart and speed, and then we do research that something is ketamine, which is a tranquilizer and basically numbs you and slows down your heart rate, and then you're mixing that in with other substances and heat as well. And from simple research, you can know and see from the science of logic that that would be a extremely hazardous and extremely dangerous combination due to the way that would mess with the body, the heart, the blood flow, and the nervous system. So we got to think about these things before we go mixing things together and putting different things to our bodies. We got to think about what kind of effects. Way does this have an impact on the body? And is this a good thing to consider combining with something of a different extreme or something of a different way that can change the heart? So, with this most recent experience that has really been brought to a national news level, when it comes to the experience with Dr. Samuel Lee. This is a really prime example on a world level for us to be able to really take a look and, dissect and witness what is a prime experience of what can happen if we don't have all of our P's and Q's covered when it comes to serving and providing sacred space with plant medicines. And another thing is like, it's one thing to utilize a ancient lineage of serving a medicine, but it's another thing to be experimenting with concoctions of man-made chemicals mixed with ancient plant chemical and combining those together along with pharmaceutical. You're bringing in different levels of spiritual energy as well as different polarities. And when you mix that together, that can be a dangerous combination. So I'm going to play a video, and this video is going to go through and talk about this experience that took place with Dr. Lee and his client. And I'm playing this because the bigger message of why we're here today and why we're taking a look at this. Keep in mind, I'm someone that watches content all the way up. And I'm sure he is, a innocent person in his heart, and that he is a content person as well. Something that's real that happened, and this is something for us all to look at. And the combination that was utilized had a tranquilizer and number and relaxant of the heart, disassociate as well, mixed with MDMA, a amphetamine compound that accelerates the blood and puts you in a speeding type of state, mixed in with DMT, a full out-of-body experience with your mind. Combining those three with GABA, which is a over-the-counter neurorelaxant, and then multiple saunas and a deep parasite cleanse right before, all within a 3 to 4 day radius. And that is an insane amount of combinations of different polarities being thrown into a system that's already filled with traumas, density, and darkness. And what took place is what took place, and there's no going back. And these are the kind of experiences that can take place if we do not follow proper ethics, guidelines, and safety when it comes to ingesting plant medicines. So I give my love and I give my condolences to this woman's spirit. I give my condolences to her family. And I give my condolences to Dr. Lee and everyone else involved as well, because this can't be an easy experience for anyone. But man, the universe is giving us a big earth lesson to look at, and we're going to look at it together in a loving, compassionate, and mind-opening way. So check it out. This laser, and it's really wild to think about, but this is addressing a collective shadow that is present in our human collective.
If you're on social media and you're in the spiritual community, you've probably heard of Dr. Samuel Lee. You may even follow him like I used to, but he has recently been charged with manslaughter as a result of one of his clients at one of his heart protocol ceremonies dying during the ceremony. And this is just so unfortunate on so many levels. And first of all, my heart goes out to Tina Sodi and her family. She is the one who passed away during this ceremony. And there's just so many different levels here that I want to address. This was a psychedelic retreat. I'm pretty sure that there are practitioners there who practice this in a more responsible way. And I understand that there was a big dehydration issue that this victim had experienced. And me personally, I have never been drawn to psychedelics just because you don't need psychedelics in order to connect with that God frequency. You can literally just connect from within yourself. And I do get that there are certain things such as plant medicine that can help you and assist you in doing that as well in a very sacred way. It's not for me. I would say that because I've just never been into recreational drugs, never did it, never will. And that's just something that is a personal choice, but I personally do not think that you require psychedelics in order to connect to your own God frequency. That's number one. Another reason why this is concerning is because this could have a reverberation effect throughout those who are practicing shamanic medicine, those who are practicing true ceremony. Not to say that what he wasn't practicing wasn't a true ceremony, because I've never experienced his ceremonies, but what I will say is that there are already people who have formed an opinion on the spiritual community, and this just kind of seals the deal that we're all a bunch of nutcakes. And I know this because they're trying to do that to a lot of acupuncturists as well. And the point being is that we really don't need this kind of publicity right now. I actually used to follow Dr. Samuel Lee because I thought he had a lot of very interesting perspectives, and some of them were true, some of them felt very compromised, I'll just call it that. And I really started not feeling his content perhaps a year or so ago, whenever he started really consulting AI as an origin for his script in terms of what's really going with the energetic frequency on the earth and all the things that are going on with, negative energies, negative entities and aliens and all this other stuff. And again, a lot of it has some truth, but there was a lot of it that was very questionable in terms of me as a person who does discern energy. I know that when I'm feeling something, other people are feeling something too, so maybe you're picking something up, but ultimately it cannot source from God. It is artificial. It cannot source God frequency, but you can. Another thing I wanted to share about this is that he had actually stolen a lot of information from Lisa Renee, who is someone that I follow. Her information is very deep, very accurate, sometimes a little bit over some people's heads, but I really find her information very powerful. And she was one of the people that he sourced his information from. So from my understanding, he was actually plagiarizing her information, and that's actually something that's just going on rampantly all over social media, all over the spiritual community, people taking on other people's ideas and calling it their own. This is very different from you actually forming your own opinion from someone else's share. This was total co-optation. And lastly, he is not a guru. He is not your guru. He's not my guru. And there's just a lot of false energies conflating themselves all over social media. And you've probably noticed it in people as well, where a lot of people talk a really big game, but they have nothing to show for it. And whether it be they don't have the results to show for it, they don't have the clients they say they're having, they don't have the power they say they're having, they don't have the intel and the wisdom that they say they're having. And there's just so much being revealed right now where across the board, all of the fake gurus are being exposed. And my recommendation is to never follow anyone as your guru, not even me, because you should be questioning everything. You should be filtering it through your own God lens that you carry and possess as a fractal of God, because you carry the power. And one thing I notice a lot across the board in the spiritual community is that there's a lot of giving our power away to people outside of ourselves. I even had a patient recently who was sharing that she had went to many mystics and seers and healers, a very special guide that was connected to someone who is a very big name in the spiritual community. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but he had been a huge guru, so to speak, with this person who's an international speaker, internationally known. And he literally told my patient that she is always going to be stuck forever in her pain and suffering. When people say shit like that, that really is fascinating to me, but also it pisses me the fuck off, because when you are telling people that they're never going to get out of a suffering loop, that is, number one, I don't know who you are, but I will tell you that that is 100% false. I told her, this is not true. That is literally not true. You can redeem yourself at any time. You can transform yourself at any time. You can choose a different experience at any single time. And I led her through this exercise to call her power back to herself, because she had given her power away. Because the thing is, no one takes your power away without your permission. Until you reclaim all of those parts of who you are going to be really, really scattered. Even when you give your power away, you can always call it back to yourself. An exercise that I'm going to share with you that you can do to call your power back to yourself, and this can be in this lifetime, it can be all lifetimes, all past lifetimes, all lineages of your ancestry, all aspects of your being beyond time and space. So it goes like this. You place one hand above your heart, one hand on your belly, and you call your power back to you 3 times. So it looks like this. I call all of my power back to me. The second time, I call all of my power back to me from this lifetime, from previous lifetimes, beyond time and space, on all timelines, locations, dimensions, realms, and platforms. Now and forever, I call all of my power back to me. That was 2. Number 3, envision it happening, coming all back to your body, coming back into your heart, coming back into your solar plexus, coming back into your throat so that you can speak your truth again, going back, calling back into your third eye. I call all of my power back to me. When you do this, you literally call all of the power back to you from anyone and anything that you've consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously given it away to, and you reclaim your power for yourself. So try that exercise. And last thing, stop looking for a guru. You are the guru.
Imagine booking a soul session, ordering crystals, and joining a live retreat from your phone. For too long, finding the right healers, the right products, the right community has meant endless searching across scattered corners of the internet. That changes now. The Sacred Kingdom has arrived, an online hub where a worldwide directory of holistic practitioners, readers, life guides, organic makers, musicians, a crystal shop, books, and more are all waiting for you. Book one-on-one sessions, order products, and discover Kingdom members serving locally in your area, all from your fingertips, wherever you are, whenever you're ready. Stay connected to upcoming events and retreats, both online and in person. Tap into a YouTube channel built for real conversation, hands-on holistic learning, and free giveaways. And there's more coming: courses, programs, a holistic recipe book, and the Sacred Kingdom Mystery School Academy mentorship. This is a space built on love, compassion, and the belief that conscious living should be accessible to all walks of life. Visit thesacredkingdom.com, and if you feel called to build from within, email Marcus ChristoLight at marcustut23@gmail.com about joining the Kingdom Council. The Kingdom is open.
In the prior video, I discussed a little bit about ayahuasca and plant medicine, and now I want to take it into a topic more generalized into overall substance abuse. So oftentimes we take substances in order to feel certain things, in order to enter certain states of being. Really, as a path of an alchemist, of an internal alchemist, along the path of mastery, if you really want to be the master of your own energy and the master of your own mental state, one must cultivate the desire to be the creator of their own states, as opposed to relying on external stimuli to achieve a certain feeling or a certain state outcome. There's practices that we teach that can feel like you've had 2-3 cups of coffee right in the morning, right, through breathing exercises. There's practices that gives us more concentration and can replicate the effects of things like nicotine, things like caffeine. Now, this, if you have coffee once in a while, if you're having nicotine, it's not a big deal. But the one that really takes us far away from the path to mastery really is hallucinogenic variety of medicine. So whether that's plant medicine like ayahuasca, whether that's psilocybin, LSD. And the reason for that is because it gets us in such a open state, but at the expense of our own will and at the expense of our own ability to control the experience. Our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, okay? And in normal state, imagine it being a house where all the doors closed. And as you enter the field of internal alchemy, you learn how to open the door and invite who you would like to invite into your house in order to help along your own ascension, along the path that you want to craft for yourself. So they're purposeful invitations. When you take any plant medicine, you basically have all the windows, all the doors blown open, completely wide open, all the walls kind of disappear, and it's a free-for-all, right? Any entity can come in, any stranger can go in and out of your house, and it's very hard to keep out the entities and the spirits that you don't want around your field. A lot of it is determined by set and setting, but even equally important is the setting internally, right? So if you have trauma and you're releasing that and you're in this like fear frequency, then you're inviting whatever entity that feeds off of these fear. There's a harm that comes to this. And oftentimes, once we get off of the medicine, the hallucinogenics, all of these walls and doors begin to form again, but whoever remains in the house, they remain in the house. And if you're not sensitive, if you're not aware of what's transpired, oftentimes you may carry these entities for the rest of your lives. You may carry these entities for many, many years before you get the proper treatment to release them. And this is especially noticeable whenever you do healing with groups of people. Because guess what? If you are opening up all your doors, maybe some of your trauma, some of your emotional baggage gets released out of your body. In an open space, it can go anywhere. And with enough energy, these negative energy begins to gain its own consciousness, right? They become egregores and parasitical consciousness, right? We call them larvae. And as they have their own consciousness, there's this desire for self-preservation. And if there's another host right beside them that they can go into, they're going to go into this host. And when I do entity extraction work, a lot of times I'm pulling out the entity, and the moment I lose focus and I lose the concentration on this entity, it starts moving on its own, and its sole objective is to get back into another host. So it's very important that you avoid doing these group healing exercises, because the moment your matrix is blasted open, you have no shielding, and all of the crap that other people may release goes back into your body. You may have released some trauma, but then you may have gone 10 other traumas that you don't even know or have any karmic affiliation with. So food for thought, if you feel like you've dabbled into this and you've gone the negative consequences of this, please inform us. A part of our work is entity extraction. I don't like publicly say this on our website, but if you're seeing this video and it's calling towards, do contact us and we can have a discussion on how to release some of these after the experiences of hallucinogenics, okay? So leave a comment below if you want to talk, and until next time, thank you.
All right. All right, guys. So that was just another perspective, another point of view outside of my own, of a well-seasoned space holder, and their wisdom and their perspective of, plant medicine safety and what to be aware of when it comes to the energetics of consuming and getting involved in a plant medicine journey. So now I'm going to take you to the text, and we're going to do some reading together and go over some basically like some 101s and some fundamentals of plant spirit medicine, working with it shamanically, what type of ethics to have, things to be aware of, possibilities that can happen, positive or negative, and also the different types of plant medicines and what kind of beautiful things they are meant to carry for us. So this is on the website, which is in the description down below for you guys, called mysticchrist.com. And this website also talks about, different archetypes, ascended masters, archangels, as well as topics like plant medicine. It's definitely one of our favorite type of websites to use. So this is Plant Spirit Medicine, Working with Herbs Shamanically by Nicole Lau. I'm gonna go ahead and put some music on for us as well. We got a storm in. It is storming pretty hard out here in PA. So if we have any internet connection issue, any freezing or stalling, just be aware we got a storm going on out here. All right. Let's get into it. Plant medicine. All right. Plants are not just medicine for the body. They are teachers, allies, and gateways to the spirit world. Every plant has a spirit, a consciousness, a deva that holds ancient wisdom and healing power. Shamanic herbalism is not about memorizing which herb treats which symptom. It's about building a relationship with the plant spirit real time, in the moment, living, learning directly from them, and allowing them to guide your healing work. That's how my life has always been. I actually don't read a lot of books. I don't study people's courses or programs. I haven't been to a university, anything of that knowledge. But I have all of this awareness, all of this knowledge, all of this intellect, all of this language that I understand and I'm able to transmit to all of you. And it's due to experience. Firsthand experience of using my mind, body, emotion, and developing a relationship with many different experiences and energies. Then you add on top of that, being a life path 33, that means I've been through all of these different human experiences to accumulate the knowledge of how these different medicines and different ways of humanity work on this earth history. And that's the same for all of us. We all have genetic and DNA lineages that we can tap into when it comes to the ancient origins of these many ways of life. And it becomes natural for us. For some of us, we felt an innate calling to plant medicine in this life because it's very natural in our DNA. I also found out back in 2015 through 2 different mediums, including my own intuition. And then I received a Reiki healing session where I actually healed a wound from this time, but I was a Navajo shamanic elder, lion dressed elder sensei. And I was in the Spaniard War, and I was brought to my death in the war by a person on a horse that used their sword through my third eye. And I had a group Reiki session at a Reiki share, and they pulled out this energetic sword from my third eye. And that was how I found out about that. Pretty wild. But that's how it works, though. We're going to be talking about soul retrieval on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern here. And soul retrieval kind of falls in the lines of that experience right there that I was talking about. Okay, so plant medicine, the sacred art of working with herbs, not just as substances, but as conscious beings who have been waiting to teach you. What is plant spirit medicine? So in traditional herbalism, we focus on chemical constituents, physical effects, dosage and preparation, and treating symptoms. But when it comes to plant spirit medicine, this actually adds on to all of that, with also relationship with plant consciousness, spiritual and energetic healing, direct teaching from plant spirits, ceremonial and ritual use, treating the spiritual root of illness. And I've heard many stories, including my own, where where someone consumes psilocybin medicine, and then they have a direct connection and direct communication with the spirit of the mushroom, and they can hear it teaching them, educating them, and giving them lessons while they're on their journey with the mushroom. So keep in mind that when you are working with plant medicine, not only are you using the physical material, but you're also working with a living spirit as well. So be mindful, be intentional, and be open to the communications that's having for you. So in the shamanic perspective, every plant has a spirit or deva. Plants are conscious beings with intelligence and intention. Plants choose to work with humans or not. That's why they say just, work with medicine that calls to you. If it's your time to take ayahuasca, they always say the grandmother will reach out to you and you'll know when she comes into your field. If you try to force these things and force these usages, it's a slippery slope to abuse. And then once you abuse the medicine, then it can give you a deep reflection back to yourself. So plants teach through direct transmission, visions, feelings, and knowing. The spirit of the plant is as important as the physical plant. The spirit might even be more important, honestly. Plant spirits across traditions. Amazonian, curanderismo. In the Amazon, the shamans or the curanders believe that plants are the original teachers. Each plant has a madre or mother spirit. Plants teach through dita, isolation with the plant. Plants sing in karos, healing songs to the shaman. Ayahuasca is the mother of all plants, who introduces you to other plant spirits. So this is the Amazonian perspective. And notice here, and again, I'm not trying to pick on our brother Samuel Lee here, but I'm sorry, but he's a prime example to be using right now for us. You notice here in the Amazonian teachings, it says, plants teach through data, which means isolation with the plant. This means you're not triple stacking the plants together. You're taking one plant at a time, honoring and developing a relationship with that one spirit and consciousness. So, that's something to really think about there. Mixing ketamine with DMT, with MDMA, with an over-the-counter GABA, compared to where it says here in the Amazonian traditions, the plants like to teach through their singularity. I'm just the messenger here. Celtic herbalism. In Celtic, they like to recognize tree spirits, dryads, the Ogham, which is the tree alphabet, as plant wisdom, sacred groves as plant temples, druids as plant communicators. Native American, we have tobacco as the sacred messenger plant, sage, cedar, and sweetgrass as purification allies, plants as relatives, all my relations, offering tobacco before harvesting, plants choosing the medicine person. Chinese medicine. We have Shen, spirits of herbs. Herbs as energetic beings with personality. The emperor, minister, assistant, envoy herbs, the hierarchy of plant spirits. Herbs affecting the spirit body, Shen, as well as the physical body. So you got to keep in mind these ethics of the traditions here. Very simple. No blending together of multiple. And no saying here either that any of these medicines are the most productive and most beneficial way to connect to your higher self. Which is something that's a red flag to me. If these people are online, you know, making these little reels and videos and promoting that taking substances, especially multiple at once, is your greatest way of reaching your higher self, that's a red flag, because, you know, the true shaman, the true guru, is pointing back to our inner self as always the core, always the deepest and most best way to reaching your higher self, or the creator, is looking within and remembering who you are in the moment with your eternal connection. And this is coming from someone, as I shared in the beginning, that abused many plant medicines and used to be prideful about them and think that tripping on LSD was the greatest and the most best way to ever reach your higher self and to be able to embody it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful gateway. But when you truly start to become codependent, which is what that is, then you're allowing that to become an abusive situation. So, how to meet plant spirits. Method number 1, shamanic journey to the plant. Choose a plant that you want to work with, set the intention, enter the trance through drumming or whatever applies to your ceremony, journey to the lower mid-world, look for the plant, approach respectfully, ask permission to learn from it, receive the teaching it shows through vision, speaking, or transmit, thank the spirit world, return and record what you learned. Method 2 is to sit with a living plant. Find it in nature. Ask permission to sit with it. Sit in meditation, near or touching. Open your senses. Smell, touch, observe. Open the heart and mind. Number 6, listen. What does the plant want to tell you? Number 7, receive the images, feelings, words, sensations, and knowing. Number 8, thank the plant and leave an offering. Method 3 is dreaming with the plant. So you can get it dried or fresh, have it under your pillow or near your bed. Before sleep, ask if you may please be taught in your dreams through it. Sleep and dream, record the dreams immediately, look for the plant's teaching and the dream symbolism. So keep in mind, you don't have to ingest and consume plant medicines to connect with their spirit as well. So ingesting the plant. Isolate or properly be in a ceremonial space with a guide. Ingest the plant. Follow the dietary restrictions. And then it teaches you directly through vision, dreams, and direct knowing through your mind and through your eyes and through your senses. So modern adaptation, number one, work with one plant at a time, maybe like 1 to 4 weeks, depending on what you're doing and what kind of plant. Drink the plant as tea daily. Meditate with it, journal what you learn, avoid mixing with other strong herbs or substances. So again, we're highlighting this, people. Avoid mixing with other strong herbs or substances. Take one thing at a time and really honor and connect and be present with its spirit. And just a disclaimer, I am not a health professional and I'm not telling you guys to go take anything. This is just knowledge, information, and experience being shared. And it's for you to discern and take it or leave it at your own advisory. So we have some allies here, sacred plant allies. We have tobacco. And of course, you want to get the very traditional, non-chemical added tobacco to get the purest connection. And its spirit is the messenger, the grandfather, the sacred smoke. It teaches with prayer, offering, communication with spirits. It would be used for offering the harvest, other plants, calling spirits, and purification. Mapacho is different from commercial cigarettes. We have sage, salvia, the purifier, the wise woman, the cleanser. Teaches clearing, wisdom, and protection. The use of smudging, cleansing spaces and energy fields, ritual purification. Do note that it is over-harvested. Use garden sage or others alternatively. We have mugwort. This is the dream weaver, Artemis plant, the psychic opener. Teaches dream work, psychic vision, and astral travel. The use is dream pillows, tea before divination, smoke for visions. Avoid during pregnancy. We have cedar, and rose, and lavender, sweetgrass, copal. Copal is a strong purifier. Oh, so here they have a recommendation you can try is plant spirit extraction. So it's when you use the plant spirit to intentionally extract anything that could be in your energy field. So you can ask it to help remove the intrusion, and then it helps with the extraction through its medicine properties. And then through your actions and practices with it, you're able to help transmute the intrusion. You may use it for soul retrieval as well, because the plant can help you locate or coax the soul back from the timeline that it could be fractured in. And then it can help provide the healing energy for the integration process. And I will say from experience, like taking psilocybin, taking LSD, being intentional and going into real ceremony, I have absolutely benefited in those type of ways of soul retrieval in ways that I never even thought. I didn't know I had inner child wounds until I took LSD on this one journey, and I was bawling my eyes out because I was laughing so hard, healing my inner child with laughter, just pure, uplifting, joyful laughter, thanks to the medicine. But again, it's about environment, it's about intention, setting, all those good things. So ethical harvesting, asking permission to harvest before just harvesting a plant, really feeling that yes or no, maybe even leaving an offering as well. Take only what you need, harvest mindfully, thank the plant, and use what you harvest, don't waste it. Offerings, you can do tobacco offerings, cornmeal, water, your hair, song or prayer, or tending to the plant. Receptivity, the plant gives us, we must give back. So protect the wild plants, grow plants, teach others, speak for the plants, and use them wisely. Plant spirit ceremony, create a plant altar. You can use candles, tools, gratitude. So it talks about data. Data is the preparation, basically. So just remember their preparation process for the plants as well. For a lot of these, it's cutting out a lot of diet restrictions, as well as sex and alcohol and things of that nature. Beautiful. All right, so now we're going to watch another video. And then after this video, we're then going to move into the primary focus and in-depth details of psychedelic drug safety and what kind of things to be looking for, ways to avoid negative consequences, and really just some guidelines on harm and safety reduction when it comes to using plant medicine therapies. All right.
Welcome to the Elements of Science. I'm Abigail from Research and Knowledge Exchange at the Mind Foundation, and today's topic is harm reduction in psychedelic studies. You may have heard that psychedelics are capable of causing bad trips, and yet they're being successfully used in clinical trials. This video will show you how scientists minimize the risk of someone having a bad trip, particularly one that has any lasting negative effects. Safe administration is a unique task with psychedelics because although they're physically very safe, their psychological effects can vary a lot. But thankfully, the adverse effects are not random. Scientists have gotten pretty good at preventing adverse experiences in their studies, and their number one rule is that some people, some of the time, should probably not take psychedelics. People who have certain psychiatric disorders or a family history of them may be at an elevated risk for long-term negative effects, so study participants are always screened for schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and the like. Certain medications can also interact badly with psychedelics and should not be combined with them, and psychedelics moderately raise heart rate and blood pressure, so people with heart problems should be extra careful. Rule number 2 is to have a trained trip sitter. In fact, most studies always have 2 trained counselors in the room. If the person who's tripping is the pilot of their experience, these 2 are the flight attendants. They ensure comfort, but primarily safety. Trip sitters should be knowledgeable about potential adverse effects, as well as compassionate, friendly, and respectful. They should also develop a relationship with the participant before the trip to ensure that there's a solid level of trust. Rule number 3 is to have a safe and comfortable setting for the experience. Like this one, it's a comfy living room. The area should be free from distractions, like cell phones, as well as dangerous objects, like candles or sharp corners. And distractions can also be eliminated using headphones and an eye mask. Lastly, the participant should have visited the room before. It should be familiar to them. Rule number 4 is that the participants should be prepared for the experience, but also open to it. Volunteers in studies are always informed in detail about what they might expect from their trip, and they're coached on how to handle difficult experiences. They're encouraged to mentally surrender to the experience and to trust and be open. If they get anxious during the trip, this instruction is repeated. It often helps to calm them down. And the person is also reassured that they're in a study, they've taken a drug, and they will return to normal in a few hours. Holding their hand can also be very powerful. And although it's rare that they're needed, psychedelic laboratories keep medical doctors and anti-anxiety medication on hand as a last resort. The final rule is integration, which translates the psychedelic experience into real changes in thought and behavior. It can take some time for people to really digest psychedelic experiences, and especially if the person had a challenging experience, integration can help resolve it into something positive and meaningful. Having someone to talk to, like a trained counselor, is an invaluable part of this process, and that person can also look out for signs of persisting effects, particularly negative ones. Thankfully, in the controlled environment of psychedelic studies, these are so far extremely rare, but it's the responsibility of the researchers to watch out for them. Because when it comes to psychedelic research, safety is taken very seriously. Psychedelics are powerful tools, but like any other powerful tool, they have to be wielded with caution and responsibility. Only then do they have a real future in mental health care. For more details on safety in psychedelic studies, you can check out the Drug Science program or refer to this top paper, Human Hallucinogen Research, Guidelines for Safety. See you next time on Elements of Science.
Alrighty. Psychedelic and hallucinogenic drug safety. So this is on recovered.org, and it's about drug safety resources. So psychedelic and hallucinogenic drugs are psychoactive substances that cause perceptual changes, including visual and sensory distortions, and altered state of consciousness. This includes substances such as LSD, mescaline, psilocybin, and DMT. These substances can have various risks, which may be reduced by learning and implementing safe drug use techniques. It is important to note that while the use of these substances has become more socially acceptable and the legality around them is changing, most psychedelic substances remain illegal in the United States. Possession, cultivation, and distribution of psychedelics can carry heavy legal penalties in most states, including prison sentences. This guide is intended to promote safety and harm reduction. Recovered does not condone the use of illegal substances in any circumstance. So, some important psychedelic safety tips. First is set and setting are important factors to consider before using a psychedelic. Ensure that you are mentally and physically in the right space first. Now, what does that look like? So when you say set and setting, number one, you don't want to be around a crowd of people that are drinking alcohol or doing things low frequency, violent, angry, things of that nature. If you're in that type of environment and then you take a psychedelic that's going to amplify and open up all of your senses, keep in mind that you're opening yourself up to being able to then be able to receive, attract, and then attach the negative entities and vibrations that could be coming out of that group or that crowd around you. Now it's vice versa. If you're surrounding yourself with pure vibrations, positivity, healing frequencies, and people with positive attitudes and things of that nature, then that is going to alter you into a more positive type of experience. Another thing too is to consider, is it a ceremony or is it just a, for fun mess around? And it's very easy to make it a ceremony. All you have to do is just take a moment to pause before you get into it, cleanse your energy and cleanse the space, bring it into honor and reverence, give some gratitude and respect, and set an intention. And really be intentional about why you're using it. Then speak with it, speak with the spirit. Be like, I am going on this journey so that I may be able to, confront and heal this abandonment that I'm dealing with. I'd like to receive love and nurturing support in this experience. And then every time I've done something of that nature, I have the most pure and beautiful, no hiccups type of 6 or 7 hour journeys. So that stuff really matters. Just take a moment to slow down before consuming. Use drug contamination test kits. So psychedelics are increasingly becoming contaminated with extremely harmful substances such as synthetic opioids. You can get test kits all over online. Just look up drug test kits. I'm sure they have it on Amazon even. Ensure you're not breaking the law. Possession and use of psychedelics still hold legal ramifications in most states. Educate yourself on psychedelic substances before trying them, especially if you have a history of mental health conditions or disorders. What are the risks taking psychedelics? So as with all substances, there can be risks associated with the use of psychedelic drugs. Risks can vary from person to person. It may depend on the individual's health, the strength and dosage of the substance, the environment, and the person's experience. The potential risks can include risk of abuse. So psychedelics do not produce physical dependence with prolonged use, although this can vary depending on the drug and the individual. It is possible for tolerance to develop, which can lead to an increase in the frequency and the amount of use and the risk of harmful substance abuse. That is something I definitely went through in my earlier stages. Psychedelic safety risk. They can often cause changes in perception and coordination, which can lead to an increased risk of accidental harm. This may also cause an increased risk of experiencing harm from others. Experiencing a quote-unquote bad trip. They can cause visual, emotional, and sensory distortions, which can be an enjoyable part of the psychedelic experience. However, in some cases, this can lead to frightening and distressing experiences, often called a bad trip. Depending on the type and amount of drug use, this can last for a prolonged period, which can feel overwhelming and potentially lead to harmful consequences. And it is something to be aware of. And that's why setting an intention is important. And also, what is even more important is making sure that there is the correct space holder in case something did get in a slippery slope, and they're able to bring you back into a positive mindset. Mental health consequences. Individual reactions to psychedelics can vary depending on the current mental state. Psychedelics can cause the onset of worsening of psychosis or suicidal thoughts. As such, people with a personal or family history of psychotic disorders, such as schizophrenia or mood disorders, such as bipolar, may be at increased risk of mental effects. It is also possible for psychedelics to cause flashbacks, which can cause people to relive past traumatic experiences. Physical health consequences. Some psychedelics can impact the heart rate and blood pressure, which may cause an increased risk on physical harm, particularly to those with heart conditions, seizures, strokes, or high blood pressure. This can also react with medications, particularly certain antidepressants and amphetamines, other stimulants and opioids, which can cause an increased risk of cardiac complication or developing serotonin syndrome. So psychedelics that have the biggest risk. Some psychedelic substances are considered to be fairly safe compared to others, which can contribute to more severe risk. Psychedelics, according to them, with the greater risk, they include ibogaine, and it's associated with dangerous cardiac effects, such as irregular heart functioning, that may cause life-threatening or even fatal consequences. LSD is a very potent drug that causes long-lasting effects of around 12 hours and cause severe distortions in reality, leading to a high risk of frightening experiences, loss of control, or accidental harm. It may also cause prolonged psychotic symptoms in some cases. Typically, LSD is sold as a liquid dropped onto blotting paper, meaning it can be difficult to be certain on the exact dosage being taken. Yeah, I will say it is a very potent one. And if you're not in the right setting and you don't know the right guidance for the space, it can definitely take you into some places. Oh man, PCP is associated with severe physical reactions, causes seizures, coma, severe decrease in heart rate and blood pressure, overheating, and even death. Now I also put on this list taking things like San Pedro, ayahuasca, even combo. You want to make sure that you're going through the correct guidelines of how to prepare before the ceremony, because if you don't prepare properly and say you are on pharmaceuticals for your blood pressure and you have sex the days up until the ceremony, and then you even drink alcohol too that week, those are all ways that can make it very distressing and potentially harmful for you going through the purging process as well as the transformation of your body while on a deep plant medicine like a San Pedro, combo, or ayahuasca. So that is why in real, indigenous and ceremonial held spaces, they are giving you at least week to couple week process protocol of how to prepare before consuming these type of medicines, because of the hazards that can happen with the way that it could shift your body with the current state it could be in. So guidelines for safe psychedelic use. It is not possible to entirely remove any potential risk or dangers, but these tips can help increase personal safety and mitigate the risk of psychedelic use. So testing. For drug use, it may be possible to test the substance to gather information about its content. Drug testing kits can be used to check for the presence of other substances, particularly fentanyl, which can cause serious or fatal harm, unwillingly or knowingly. So it looks like here they have a website called Dance Safe, and it provides drug testing kits at events or kits that can be ordered online. It's called dance safe, just like dancing to music. Education, learning about the drug before administration can help individuals make informed decisions about drug use. This might include learning about safe dosage and administration, the possible mental and physical effects, how to recognize and manage signs of an overdose. And that's so key, you know, like, I'm gonna give an example for you guys. All right, so let's go into search here and let's type in, is it dangerous to mix ketamine with MDMA? All right, simple search on Copilot. So it tells you that it carries very serious risks right here through Copilot, including cardiovascular strain, serotonin syndrome, neurotoxicity, long-term cognitive and mental health issues. They create a synergetic experience that blends the empathogenic, energizing, and mood-lifting effects with dissociative, hallucinogenic, and sedative effects of ketamine. So, the acute physical risk. Mixing them can increase cardiovascular and autonomic strain. So it can produce more hypertension due to the sympathetic nervous system stimulation. And that can also cause hyperthermia and impaired thermoregulation, increasing the risk of overheating. Keep in mind, guys, increase the risk of overheating. Serotonin syndrome, where it can cause serotonergic substances, which can be life-threatening. Impaired motor function and dissociation, especially with that combination. Ketamine disassociates you from the outer world, and then MDMA over-associates you with the outer world. So ketamine overdoses cannot be reversed in Naxalone. MDMA can exacerbate dehydration, hyperthermia, compounding the danger. So just reading these simple things, as a space holder, those are amazingly big red flags. So then in this case that we're looking at here in the country, these two substances were mixed together in a 3-day period, as well as DMT and GABA, over-the-counter neurolaxant. And then we're going to throw in multiple infrared saunas and a deep parasite cleanse right beforehand, within a 3 to 4 day window. I mean, let's be real here. To me, that is some poor space holding ethics. If I'm researching this and I know that these are the risks that can happen to help someone, quote unquote, reach their higher self, to me, it's very selfish to continue to go forward with something like this. Knowing that people can lose their life. These people have families, and they have a life, and they're trying to heal to be able to continue their life here on this earth in a better way. It's one thing to do a MDMA treatment. It's one thing to do a prescribed ketamine treatment. But this is a different ballgame. With two highly illegal substances, that this doesn't look good on the spiritual community. But what really gets me though is that there's all of these potential side effects in a very, very commonly and likely way to happen. And you're going to give this to a middle-aged woman, middle-aged person, and then also cook them in multiple saunas. No wonder why she passed from dehydration. We just gotta get real, guys. Know what you're doing. So the key takeaway. So while MDMA and ketamine together can produce a unique and intense experience, the risks far outweigh the potential recreational benefits. Cardiovascular strain, serotonin toxicity, neurocognitive impairment, and mental health complications make this combination extremely dangerous. Awareness of these risks is crucial, and professional help should be sought and advised as adverse effects occur from the substance use. All right, so dosage. It is often beneficial to consider a safe and appropriate dosage when using psychedelics, as this may differ from person to person. People who have never used a substance should consider using a small amount initially. When people have used these substances before, may be able to use larger. Regardless of the individual's experience, it is often a good idea to start with a small dose, wait through the effects, and decide if additional are appropriate. Taking too much can increase the risk of unpleasant or frightening experiences, mental and physical harm, potential overdose. Set and setting refers to the mood and environment of the individual when using a substance. This can play an important part in the psychedelic experience. It can help individuals feel more physically and emotionally comfortable and safe. For example, some people may find the following increases the chance of an unpleasant experience: anxiety, low mood, other negative emotions, loud noises, large groups of people, enclosed spaces, being around unfamiliar people or places, bright lights or harsh images. The following may be examples of set and setting that can contribute to a positive experience. Preparing the psychedelic experience by considering expectations and entering the experience with an open mind. A quiet environment with soft and calming noises, small groups of people who are known to the individual and considered to be a friendly and kind group, open spaces in nature or a comfortable environment, familiar sounds, people, objects, or smells, and soft lighting. So coping with unpleasant experiences. Preparing the set and setting can reduce the risk of unpleasant experiences or bad trips. While those can occur even in safe and comfortable environments, understanding how to manage your and others' bad experiences can be helpful. This can help include changing the environment, such as going outside, altering lighting or sounds, or spending time with a trusted person to discuss distressing feelings. It may also be helpful to save the number of a psychedelic helpline so it can be contacted for support during the time. Some of these numbers are listed below. Using a guide or a trip sitter. Some people plan to use psychedelic substances with a guide, trip sitter, or spiritual healer. This person is not under the influence of any substance, although they may have prior experience with the psychedelic substance. They can be used to guide individuals through the experience, providing emotional and physical support throughout. So are they legal? Well, you have to do your own research about the state and which substance it is you're talking about. Some places like Colorado, psilocybin is on its way to becoming more of a recreational thing, I believe. I know places like Oakland and California, psilocybin is recreational. I know in Michigan, it's recreational up there. So just do your research, and there are some states that do support plant medicine therapy. So just know your research and know where you are, and just advise yourself and do what you do at your own risk. Then here are some psychedelic safety helplines and organizations, which I think are great resources to have, in case you ever need to call someone that knows how to talk someone back into their positivity. Got Fireside Project, Samhas, National Helpline, and then Never Use Alone. Feel free to take those and pause as you need. They have some other organizations that provide information and resources for harm reduction and safety. And then they even have some resources for psychedelic assisted therapy and safety concerns. Okay. And final thoughts. Individuals who wish to use psychedelic substances should always do this with caution, as there can never be 100% mitigation of risk. Learning harm reduction techniques and safe drug use strategies can help increase personal safety and the likelihood of an enjoyable experience. It is also important to bear in mind that under federal law, psychedelic substances are illegal and their possession and use can be a criminal offense with severe legal repercussions. All right. Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful article by Noemi Carr. She is a qualified mental health nurse with several years of experience working with children and adults in the UK. And again, this is recovered.org. And you guys can find this down below in the description for you guys. Important stuff. So, I really wanted to bring all this up today because, that experience that's on our national news about the holistic doctor and the psychedelic retreat, the lady passing away. It all aligns with the information that we just went over. And you get to really see for yourself an example here on this earth, here in this present time, where if these guidelines, these safety protocols and ethics aren't followed, then things like what we just got in the national headlines of the news takes place. So we want to avoid that. We don't want to be just blindly going into these things, experimenting and putting our body through circumstances it's not ready for. And then next thing you know, it's too late for us because we unintentionally or accidentally took substances that we weren't ready for. And then our body reacts in a certain way. And then next thing you know, we go through a psychotic break, or we go through emotional turmoil, and we go through physical complications. And once we're in that, and once substances are in our system, it's very, very difficult. And very quickly, you're not able to just go back. You're not able to just ground yourself instantly. You're not able to just have that full identity control of yourself. So you got to keep in mind of that. It's a lot easier on the outside to be like, oh, well, if you start freaking out, then take some breaths and do this. Well, it's not that easy, especially when you're in that state. and you have that chemical flowing through you, and you're feeling a little disassociated from your identity and your sense of taking action in this world and what that means to you. And that is why you have to have a sitter, a shaman, a guide, a safe environment, so that anything happens, worst case scenario, you have something that can bring regulation to the space. And as space holders, we need to know what it means to be a space holder. That means before, during, and after. And there is accountability. There is accountability. You know, a lot of people that come for this medicines, they're very vulnerable. They are also a little bit ignorant most of the time to what the effects could be like, or what to look for, or when to say something. Especially getting thrown in a sauna, which is an environment where you are used to going through extreme heat. You're used to getting lightheaded a little bit. You're used to feeling your heart accelerate because it's a sauna, which then probably would have you not second guess. Oh man, maybe I am a little bit too far in these symptoms right now and I need to get out. Or you could have so much in your system going on from the last 3 days of the mixture of ketamine, DMT, and MDMA that it instantly got triggered by the heat. And it was just too late by the time it was consciously reactive. So again, just rest in peace and condolences to everyone involved. Really sad scenario, but a big lesson for the earth right now. A lot of things to look at. May we continue to hold integrity and vouch for our space holders, and to do our due diligence on all sides, whether you're the facilitator or you're the one that's receiving. Everyone do your due diligence, and maybe even do it together. So then you can go into it knowing that you're both clear and you're both aware and on the same page. And keep in mind too that if you maybe feel pressured, or you feel that kind of like idolization, or you feel that fancifulness of something being sold and the way it's being sold to you and how much it is, you know, listen to that as well. And even if you say in the beginning, yeah, I want to do this, or I want to go for this, keep in mind that if it feels like it doesn't align after you make that initial choice, you can always change your mind, and you can always do what you need to do for yourself. Even if they get mad or upset, things of that nature. All right, y'all. So I think that will do it for me and what I want to share and talk about. If there's anything you want to add in the comments, feel free to add them in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and play one more final video, and it's just gonna be another lady and another perspective talking about the ethics of organizing plant medicine ceremonies, just to sum up and give one more perspective for you guys. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about identifying and navigating cults. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that one. That one's also a very relevant and deep topic as well. And potentially I might have a guest on that has experienced a cult and has gotten out of one as well. So yeah, get ready for that.
So today I am honoring and addressing all of you out there who are hosting and or organizing plant medicine ceremonies. It's a really big job. It's the first major job that I had in this space is, and I still do it, is to be the gatekeeper Essentially, it's usually we're the first point of contact that the pasajeros or the participants get to connect with, in terms of just feeling safe and seen and aligned with the way that we are, because the host or the organizer is typically just the portal of energy by which the whole experience begins. So there are some ethics and some really important things to consider around not only, if you're walking this path as a host and an organizer, and or you're wanting more discernment around knowing when you're in good hands. And by the way, excuse my cat, he's playing with my leaf rattle, or his leaf rattle, as it may be. Anyway, so the ethics of this. First of all, there should be a really intense, very intentional intake process. Typically, it starts with a questionnaire, so people that want to be in the ceremonies can put into writing their health history, any past issues with mental injuries, diagnoses, their intentions, history with the medicines. There's a lot of things that we want to know just in order to get a foundation for what people are coming with, because of course these medicines are not for everybody. So beyond the questionnaire, you should have access to the host or organizer. You should be able to ask any and all questions, and they should be welcoming to your questions. Questions like, what's in the medicine? Where does the medicine come from? The history of the facilitator or facilitators, what their training is, what their relationship with the medicine is, how many master plant diets they've done, if that's appropriate, things like that. There should be free and accessible to answer any and all questions from the participants, because that is the primary way that we begin to create safety. Safety in terms of being accessible and transparent, safety in terms of making sure they are physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for the kind of deep work that these medicines create. And it's just important that the organizer is available. It feels like they are a friend and that they're treating each person as an individual. If that is not present out of the gate, it's not likely to be present when you're actually there at the ceremony space either. So the organizer is obviously vetting and ensuring that the people they say yes to are congruent with the medicine that is being offered. I also emphasize that organizers, we got to consider the group as a whole. For example, my company, we often kind of specialize in women that have been through trauma, sensitive, empathic people, and men that are processing trauma too. So I'm careful to make sure that the energies I say yes to mix well, with the sensitivities that we typically call in. And it's what we love to work with. Not to say that people who aren't on the empathic spectrum are any less worthy. It's just people who are super sensitive are super sensitive. So we try to be aware of the group as a whole as well as the individuals. And it's also important for organizers to vet individuals that are in couples or that are families or best friends, etc., to connect with them separately. Because that gives each individual an opportunity to say things they might not already say in front of their partner or their sister, etc. And to make sure that they are separated in the ceremony space, because it's just easy to get caught up in somebody that you know well, their experience, and to have that negatively impact yours. So we got to have a lot of boundaries. We got to create the safe container for all involved, and especially for people who know each other well. Organizers also typically have the onus in the aftermath to follow up with people to make sure that they are integrating well. And ideally, a medicine group has integration specialists that are available and that are just aware of the state that everybody's in at the end of the ceremony, the retreat, the cycle. But that often falls upon the organizer to at least be the one that is staying in touch and making sure that people are, coming back into the world in a graceful way, because it often happens that it's not that way. And so it's important to have people on the team that are there to just guide people through a more graceful re-entering. And my cat agrees. Organizing also, so this is maybe the not so obvious thing about this job. Because we are the portal and the vessel by which these energies begin to come into the space, it's really important for the organizer, just as much as it is for the facilitator, to be doing their own work, to be in integrity, to love medicine and love people. Because if you're doing it for any other reason, it's going to show, and it creates a vibration that isn't necessarily safe or welcoming to people. My kitty is very vocal today. Thank you, Prana. So yeah, it's just, it's important. I mean, it's not really a job to organize these experiences. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we have to be committed to at all times in some ways. Not that we have to live as nuns or monks, but to own that the energy that we carry, it matters greatly because it impacts people in their most vulnerable spaces. So it is no small task. And so because of that, I typically recommend that organizers, they don't start organizing until they have a lot of experience with the medicine, because people sometimes jump in and they want to organize and do this work with little to no experience. And that is problematic, simply because people are going to need to know some specific things about the nature of these medicines, and they're going to need to feel that they're in experienced hands right out of the gate. So those are just a handful of the things that I think are really essential for all of us organizing and for all of us vetting organizers that feel like they are trustworthy. So thank you for listening to me and my cat. Please follow us, subscribe to this channel, leave us comments anytime. We appreciate you being here and wishing you much love and a beautiful day.
So just a heads up for everyone, and just a reminder, coming up this Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we are going to be holding the first ever, the launch of the Galactic Guidance Report. Galactic Guidance Report is going to be a collaboration of the Sacred Kingdom, where you'll be receiving every Saturday for the week ahead insight, downloads, and guidance on the astrology for the week, the galactic wave spell and beam keys, as well as holistic tips based off of herbalism, crystals, mind, body, emotion regulation and balancing, as well as a chakra and ascended master focus of the week for myself. going to be a lot of beautiful things coming in this galactic guidance report. The first episode is this Saturday on the 25th, which is the galactic day of no time, in between the closing of one year and the entering into a new year. And we will be preparing and stepping into Lionsgate on the 29th. See you guys then. In the meantime, catch me tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, Grand Rising with ChristoLight, as we identify and navigate cults of this world. You might want to check in on this one so you can make sure the communities, the people, and the corporations that you're interacting with are not falling in line with the cults. Wholeness and balance. 2023. Mother Gaia, third dimensional planet, ascending. Thank you from the Sacred Light Broadcast Network and Sacred Light Productions for tapping in and tuning in to all live and replay content, holistic, conscious, for your empowerment. Tap in to the Christ light within. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember that you are the one that you have been looking for. Enjoy this content. If you would like to collaborate or receive production through myself, Marcus ChristoLight, direct message or email me at marcustut23@gmail.com to discuss details. Wholeness and balanced love. Ashe.